Begin to move ahead into a sprint finish, and Broxham loses the pedal but still manages to come across the line in second. And rider number 27 is Ricardo Broxham from South Africa, a rider who's going to have to be watched during the course of this week. He's spending some time over in Belgium with the South African team. Body as one over the handlebars, a big powerful rider now, coming past the 80-kilometre sign, only 100 metres to the finish sign here. Final sprint as he comes across the line. Who can take it? It's a rider who's going to wait for the moment, and it's a big gallop here. You can see it opening up on the right hand side of the road. Can it be one of the Dutch riders? The green sprint jersey coming through and into the finish. A powerful sprint finish here. You have to have nerves of steel today, and difficult racing conditions for a lot of the riders.
Not the prize giving, the deserved reception for our 2018 winner, Ricardo Broxham.
This story is of the day of how I became the one and only South African to ever win the Junior Tour of Ireland. This race was once called the Tour de France for juniors. This is the day of how I made South African history. A race so brutal, so fast, so demanding that it tested me to my limits.
That could be taken back, but the Irish team beginning to appear at the front of the bunch here, and that's Cian May of the Irish team at the front of the bunch, with Ricardo Broxham from South Africa in second place. Kieran O'Sullivan of Comer is there, Liam Curley of the Irish team, and also James Noonan.
I found myself up against some of the toughest competition. Among the riders was Magnus Sheffield, who just a year later would become second in the world, a true testament to his exceptional talent. Another fierce competitor was Luke Lamperti, now riding for Quickstep, one of the most celebrated and exciting teams in cycling history.
The Junior Tour of Ireland isn't just a race, it is a battlefield. Every corner, every sprint, every climb pushes you further than you could think that you could go. The speeds are relentless, the competition is fierce, and the conditions unforgiving. After 6 grueling days, I crossed the finish line. I thought to myself, am I dreaming? Is this true? In my wildest imagination, I could have never dreamt of this moment. I am crowned the victor.
So the new man going into that yellow jersey is none other than Ricardo Broxham from South Africa. He'd be delighted to take the yellow jersey.
But keeping the South African flag flying, we went across to Ireland. And of course, the Junior Tour of Ireland overall victory went to Ricardo Broxham, the Pro Touch rider, 18 years old on the 11th of August.
This is the dream I've worked for over 4 years. I laid awake at night, dreaming of this very moment, imagining myself on the tar roads of Ireland. Every corner, every turn I have memorized in the opening scene, the time trial. I knew exactly where I was going to drink water, where I was going to eat my food. Every moment of the race, I visualized. Some would say this was commitment. I would say it was absolute obsession. Crossing the finish line, the dream I'd worked so hard for. Becoming the first South African to ever win this tour. The crowd cheered, the cameras flashed, and for a moment, I felt unstoppable. There was one day that changed everything. I had almost lost the tour.
To move ahead into a sprint finish, and Broxham loses the pedal but still manages to come across the line.
It was a fast downhill finish the whole way, and then the sprint opened up with about 500 meters early, and I was able to come up the right side. South Africa rider had a little bit of a bobble with about 50 meters to go.
It was stage 4. I almost crashed. My back wheel slid off the tar because of a bumpy road. The right of my foot touched the gravel road. It is impossible for me not to have stayed on my bike. It redefined the laws of gravity. Physically, it's impossible for any rider to have stayed up. I had a scrape on the side of my shoe that proved how far towards the right I tilted. I should have fallen, but somehow managed to keep my bike up. It was on live television. Everyone watching saw what could have been a disaster. And when I crossed that finish line that day, I knew this was the hand of God keeping me upright. This was a real life miracle on live TV. Here's the truth. Even in my wildest imagination, I could have never dreamt of winning this race. People were interviewing me. I was on multiple international newspapers, so it was my moment of glory that I have worked so hard for. But still, there was something missing within myself. That feeling was temporary. I woke up the next morning and it was all over. The interviews, the cameras, the glory, it was all behind me. And I realized that no trophy, no glory, no moment could satisfy me. And now I can testify that nothing can compare to the glory of God. Winning a race, gaining your dreams, it is great, but that is temporary. The glory of God is eternal. What I experienced in one moment after winning a tour, I can experience on a daily basis when I lock my doors and I seek the face of God. This reminds me of Moses. After 80 years, the nation is about to enter the promised land. But Moses' one request was, Father, if your presence does not follow us, I do not want to go. Presence above promise. God's presence, it is the exceedingly great reward. What we need in this life is not the next breakthrough in your business. It is not the next winning the biggest event in your sporting career, but it is having fellowship with the one and only true God. That is glory that cannot be compared to anything in this world. The greatest victory that I've ever found isn't in any trophy or any victory in a race or any title. It is found alone in Jesus Christ. Winning the Junior Tour of Ireland will forever be one of my greatest moments in my life. But the real glory came when I surrendered my life to Jesus. His love gave me a purpose far greater than cycling, a victory far greater than any race. I made history, but the real story isn't about the race I won. It's about the God that won my heart.